top of your paper, you should have Unit 6, Topic 3. This is the only thing on your quiz Thursday, just the quadratic formula. There's nothing else on your quiz, okay? Oops, sorry, there you go. Solving with the quadratic formula. And if I see the word solving, what should I know about my answers? What does solve tell me? It has to, X has to equal something. 0, a letter, a number, has to equal something. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is write down our quadratic formula again. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2 times a. Which part of this have you already learned? B squared minus 4ac, and what was that part called? The discriminant. So if you do the steps I show you, it'll make your life easier, but you could also write it like this: negative b plus or minus the square root of the discriminant all over 2a, because the discriminant we're going to solve for first. Discriminant. Okay? And since it's an x equals, these are solutions on my x-axis, my x-intercepts, my solutions, my roots, my zeros. So let's start with our first problem, okay? Example number 1, x squared plus 4x plus 5 equals 0. Is my equation in the correct order? Yes. Does it equal 0? Yes. Then I can start. I need an A, a B, and a C. You need to write notes down, please. A, B, and C. What is my A value? 1. What is my B value? And what is my C value? 5. You have about 30 seconds to go calculate your discriminant. Everybody should be able to do that. Use a calculator if you need to. When you get your discriminant, write down what it means. What does your discriminant mean? So if I got a discriminant of negative 4, did anybody else get negative 4? Okay. What does that mean? 2 imaginary. Very good. 2 imaginary solutions. What's another word for imaginary? Complex. Very good. Okay. So this part should all be review. This is what we've been doing and you took a quiz on. That just tells me what my answers will look like. Now we're actually going to go get my solutions. What are my solutions? What are my x-intercepts? So x equals negative b. Well, if b is 4, I need a negative 4. Plus or minus the square root of my discriminant. So it's going to go inside here. My discriminant was negative 4. All over 2 times a, and a is 1. Before I can do anything, I need to go to the side and break down my radical. Simplify it, -4. So my negative becomes the letter I, and 4 breaks down into 2 times 2. This part should all be reviewed. So I have big square root of 2 times 2. I can take them out. So what does the square root of -4 equal? Just a 2i. So let's go rewrite my solution, but instead of square root of -4, I can put 2i. So x equals -4 plus or minus 2i all divided by 2. Now I have to simplify. What can I divide 4, 2, and 2 by? I can divide these all by 2, so I'm going to divide by 2 because all of them can be divided by 2. So x equals -4 divided by 2 is -2. Plus or minus 2 divided by 2 is just the I. All over 2 divided by 2 is 1. So first question, is my answer imaginary? How do you know? There's an I in it, so that's imaginary. It says I should have 2 answers. Where do I get 2 answers from? You might know? Close. This answer right here splits into 2 pieces. Your first one says x equals -2 plus I. That's the plus side. I can write a second answer, x equals -2 minus I. So this plus sign, plus minus sign right here is what splits it into my 2 imaginary solutions. So there's 1, there's 2. Okay? Let's go do another one so that we can try to make sure we understand this before you start on your own. If you're not taking notes, I'm not answering your questions because you're wasting my time. So I need you to take notes. Example number 2, x squared plus 4x equals 20. Is it in order and does it equal 0? How do I make it equal 0? Where does 20 go? First, second, or last? It's going to go last. So I have an x squared plus 4x minus 20 equals 0. I need an A, a B, and a C. What does A equal? B and C. Very good. You got about 30 seconds to go calculate your discriminant. Use your calculator if you need to. Make sure when you calculate your discriminant, you say what it means. Once we have our discriminant calculated, we're going to plug it into our x equals -b. So I'm going to take my b value and make it negative. Just happens to be the same as the first one. It's not always going to be a 4. Plus minus the square root of what? What goes in my square root? 96, my discriminant. All over 2 times A, and A again was 1. Go to the side and break your 96 down. You have to break it down. When you break it down, look up and check your answer. So once you break it down, look up and check your answer. You better have it broken down. You better not be just copying what I did because I want you to work it out. Once I break my 96 down and I get 4 square roots of 6, did anybody else get 4 square roots of 6? Okay, then let's go replace it in my equation. So I have a negative 4 plus or minus 4 square root of 6, all divided by 2. And if you haven't listened, I'd listen right now. When you simplify, you can only simplify outside numbers. What do I mean by outside numbers? The numbers outside my radical. This radical cannot be simplified. We already did that up here, okay? So I have a 4, a 4, and a 2. What can I divide all those numbers by? So again, I'm going to divide by 2. So x equals negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Plus or minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. What has to go with that 2? The square root of 6. It cannot change. We already changed it. All divided by 1. So when I write my 2 equations, because that's what we set up here, my discriminant told me we had 2 solutions. My first solution is going to say negative 2 plus 2 square roots of 6. What is my second equation going to say? Negative 2 minus 2 square roots of 6. How do I know these are real solutions? There's no I, so they are real solutions. Okay? This is it. I cannot make it any harder. The harder I make it is the bigger the radical and the discriminant gets. That's about all. Okay? 2 things. Number 1, when you look on your answer key, it might say something like this. And that is its final answer. You have to write it in 2 different problems or 2 different answers on your quiz. I promise you. You have to do that. So you need to get in the habit of saying 2 plus 3i and 2 minus 3i. You need to get in the habit of writing both. Okay? Today, tomorrow, you will be on Class Kick. We are working on pages 6 through 10. I put them in the order that I think is best for you to work in, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you are in second period,